This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 12th day of February in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley, thanking you for joining us. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh unveiled the government's $383.1 billion budget this afternoon. It is heavily focused on education along with infrastructure and other development initiatives. On the education front, a total of $60.7 billion has been allocated to that sector, with just over $5 billion of that amount going towards the construction and rehabilitation of schools. The Ministry of Education is also expected to spend another $1 billion on scholarships. In the area of infrastructure, the government has budgeted $25.6 billion for construction and the repair of roads and bridges across the country. $3.5 billion has been allocated for the start of works on the Linden to Mabura Hill Road. And as the country continues to fight COVID-19, the health sector will receive $53.5 billion, with over $1 billion of that money going towards the purchase of medical equipment. The Guyana Power and Light Company will get a $2 billion injection, with part of that money going to hydropower development. In social services, the recently increased old age pension will remain at $25,000 per month, but the special assistance will be increased from $9,000 per month to $12,000 per month. The finance minister has pegged the growth rate this year to be just over 20%, and he believes that the budget is a transformative one.
Over and beyond oil and gas, all of these sectors are pointing to remarkable investment opportunities and tens of thousands of jobs being created in the shortest space of time. These jobs translate into incomes, and those incomes translate into prosperity, both at an individual level and inevitably at a national level. Mr. Speaker, the choice is ours. Each of us at an individual level, whether to stand aside and be a passive spectator as Guyana navigates this exciting phase in its history, or whether to get on board and be an active participant in the making of this modern history. That choice, Mr. Speaker, is ours. But make no mistake of it, this is the moment for which generations of Guyanese have been waiting.
More on the budget when we return.
The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports is pleased to present Guyana Talent Search. If you can sing, dance, draw, or paint, play a musical instrument, perform magic acts, do comedy, drama, or any other talent, then send a 1-minute video with your talent to our WhatsApp number, 653-1742. Video entries must be sent before February 20th and must include your name, age, and where you're from. Shortlisted participants will be invited to a live audition, and finalists will receive a cash prize and perform in a live virtual event broadcast all across Guyana. This is your time to shine. Check the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports Facebook page for more details. We are one Guyana.
Trifina, how you could get yarning on today's pension day?
I collect my pension and went to the market since the 23rd.
How you mean?
I tell you, Levy switched to lodgement. Since me last book finished, I switched.
You join up a lodge, was this lodgement?
Oh, the NIS lodgement system allows pensioners to get their pension into their bank account. The money is paid into the account by the 23rd of the month, so you could withdraw it whenever you like.
So wait, I ain't got to join no long line. Why you ain't tell me before?
Told you, please. When you go to submit your life certificate, ask them for the allotment application form. When you complete it and the bank verify it, then NIS is going to process it. After they process it, your money will be in your account.
Well, all right, I dine there now.
And don't forget, when you're carrying your life certificate, ask them for the lodgement application form.
For further information, please visit the website at www.nis.org.gy, the National Insurance Scheme Facebook page, or your nearest NIS office.
Dare to slay. Are you prepared to represent all Guyanese women on the Miss World stage? Entrepreneurs, social media influencers, beauties with degrees, athletes, humanitarians, and performing artists, top models with charisma, and oh yes, if you so please, friends or frenemies who are as real as can be. Dare to slay, then apply without fear, making 2021 your boldest, bravest year. Win a car, $500,000 in cash, and loads of other prizes fitting for a queen. It's Miss World time. Are you ready to slay? Victoria Regia Season 1 begins. Apply today. www.missworldguyana.com.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as Filaria. But what is Filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as Filaria. But what is Filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. because we see Guyana through your eyes.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Welcome back. Declaring that 2021 will not be an easy year for Guyana due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, presented a grim picture of the performance in 2020 for the non-oil sectors of the Guyanese economy. Overall economic growth was pegged at 43.5%, but most of that growth was attributed to the oil sector.
More strikingly, Mr. Speaker, the non-oil economy is estimated to have contracted in 2020 by 7.3%.
Dr. Singh said the government will have to find a way to navigate through the pandemic while safely moving to fully reopen the economy. Once this is achieved, the finance minister believes the major sectors of the economy will see exponential growth.
In 2020, the agriculture, forestry and fishing sector is estimated to have grown by 4.1%. This improved position is largely on account of growth in rice, other crops and livestock, which more than offset contractions observed in sugar, forestry and fishing. The sugar growing sector is estimated to have contracted by 3.7%, with production falling to a low of 88,868 tons. This was primarily due to a shortfall of more than 17,000 tons in the first crop, which in turn resulted from the protracted lack of capital investment in factories. Mr. Speaker, the rice growing sector is estimated to have expanded by 4.8% in 2020. Paddy production reached 1,057,580 tons in 2020. 0.8% above the previous year.
Dr. Singh noted that there was a sharper than expected decline in the gold subsector. Additionally, the finance minister said the bauxite industry contracted by 42.8% in 2020, while diamond and sand mining as well as quarrying also saw declines. As it relates to the manufacturing, services and construction sectors, Mr. Singh said that due to the restrictions put in place to curb the spread of COVID-19, those sectors also saw a decline. The manufacturing sector contracted by 8.6%, the construction sector by 6.3%, while the services sector saw a decline of almost 10%. While having received a total of $7 billion last year in the national budget and the supplementary budget, the Guyana Sugar Corporation is set to receive another $2 billion in this year's budget. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh announced this afternoon that the state-owned sugar company will continue to undergo a restructuring and revitalization plan. The $2 billion allocation is expected to go towards capital works to aid in the turnaround of the sugar industry. GBTI has been receiving billions of dollars in government funding over the years despite the poor performance of the sector. Under the last government, a number of estates were closed in its restructuring effort. That move was heavily criticized as hundreds of workers lost their jobs. Since taking office last year, the new PP civic government has started to reopen some of those closed estates. The Guyana Sugar Company is hoping to capitalize on the packaged sugar market. Last year, GBTI saw a decline in sugar production. A Thursday afternoon outing to the town of Linden by a young couple turned into tragedy with the drowning of a 25-year-old Cummings Lodge man. A police report indicated that the young man, Kimo Lindo, and his girlfriend visited the Blue Lake and Karakara Linden at around 12:30 yesterday afternoon. During a swim, the young man reportedly started to encounter some difficulty and grabbed onto his girlfriend. The young woman reported to police that she was forced to free herself from him after reaching out to him as he started to pull her down under the water. She said as she swam to shore and looked back, she saw her boyfriend's hands one last time as he went under the water and never came back up. The police report said the young woman raised an alarm and the police were summoned to the scene. The Cara Blue Lake in Linden has become a tourist attraction in recent years. Visitors have been warned repeatedly about swimming in the lake. The Blue Lake is actually a mined-out bauxite pit. The underground water does not flow and the lake has sudden drops owing to the depth of the digging with large machinery. There are several other mined-out lakes in the town of Linden, with the Cara Lake being the most popular. A 19-year-old woman from Providence on the east bank of the Demerara appeared in court earlier today and admitted to making a false rape allegation against her ex-boyfriend and attempting to extort $10 million from him. The magistrate has asked that the probation report be prepared. The charge against Williams stated that back in January, when the relationship ended with the boyfriend, the woman contacted him and threatened that she will file a rape charge against him unless he paid her $10 million. The young man immediately contacted the police with the details of the extortion attempt and filed a report against the ex-girlfriend. She was later arrested and a full investigation has been completed. The teenage girl is expected back in court on the 1st of March, when it is likely that she will be sentenced. In the courts, a Georgetown businessman and a Berbice taxi driver have been remanded to jail on cocaine trafficking charges. The two were held 2 days ago by agents of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, following the discovery of cocaine in the trunk of the taxi. Appearing in court today, 47-year-old taxi driver Cordell Moore of New Amsterdam Berbice and Georgetown businessman Ulrich Jordan denied the drug trafficking charges. The court learned that the two were arrested at Commerce Street here in Georgetown with 504 grams of cocaine in their possession. The cocaine was allegedly stashed in a panel in the trunk of the car. Kanu agents have revealed that checks at the businessman's house revealed a bag with a digital scale that had traces of cocaine. An undisclosed sum of cash was also found in the possession of the two men. That was confiscated by Kanu. The two accused have been remanded to jail and will make their next court appearance on the 5th of March. The Public Works Ministry is assuring passengers of Eastern Airlines who are affected by the airline's sudden suspension of service to Guyana that it will tap into a bond that the airline lodged with the government if it fails to repay them for their tickets. Eastern Airlines announced earlier this week that it has decided to suspend its Guyana service until further notice. It has advised the affected passengers that they will get their money back for tickets already bought. The move by the airline came as a surprise to its customers, travel agents, and the government, since there was no previous indication that it was moving in the direction of suspension of service. In a statement, the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority announced that the airline had lodged a $250,000 bond with the Public Works Ministry when it started operations. If the airline fails to repay the passengers, the government has indicated that it will use the money to ensure passengers are refunded. The airline has blamed the ongoing coronavirus pandemic and new travel restrictions in place in the U.S. for its decision. It has noted a considerable number of cancellations since the U.S. imposed tougher requirements for arriving passengers. Airline officials told the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority that once the travel restrictions are removed, the airline will consider a return to the Guyana market. Eastern Airlines began its operations to Guyana a year ago. During the early months of the COVID-19 pandemic last year, the airline cashed in big as it was the only carrier granted permission for repatriation flights to the US and Canada. Since the reopening of the airport and the return of other airlines, Eastern has seen a big reduction in its passenger load. Guyana recorded 2 more coronavirus-related deaths today, along with 46 new cases. The latest victims are both men and are from the Region 4 area. One of the men was 84 years old, while the other was 59 years old. The 2 latest deaths bring the total number of deaths recorded so far to 186. A total of 6 persons died from COVID-19 in the past week alone. There are still 7 persons in the coronavirus intensive care unit. The total number of active cases has fallen to 707, as more than 50 persons have recovered in the past 24 hours.
Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Due to the impacts of the global pandemic, COVID-19, across our nation, essential organizations like us have chosen to adopt innovative approaches to meet the emerging needs of our customers while protecting our employees. Here are some quick tips to make managing your GPL bill easier while we practice social distancing. To register for electronic billing, you can use the e-billing tab on your website. To access your bill balance, you can use 4 options: the website live chat at gpl.net, the online inquiry on our website under billing, SMS freedom by texting your GPL reference number to 624-0400 or 608-8400, or call our call center at 226-2600. A message from the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
This is Annie Bina. She's a clothing designer. She also likes to hang out with her friends. However, a life-changing event is about to occur. The mosquito that bit Annie Bina is infected with a tiny worm that causes lymphatic filariasis, also known as filaria. But what is filaria? Filaria is a disease that affects a person's lymphatic system, causing legs, arms, breast, or scrotum to swell and eventually remain in a swollen state that cannot go back to normal. Filaria shows no symptoms during the early years. Untreatable chronic symptoms can appear as late as 20 years after infection. Since there are no symptoms in the beginning, most infected persons do not know they're infected, like Annie Bina. When the symptoms begin to appear, nothing will be able to make them disappear. Are you sure that you've not been infected like Annie Bina? What can you do then since you see no symptoms? Take your pills. Prevention is the best cure. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
Across the region right now, 2 regional economists have advised Caribbean countries to join forces to buy about 20 million COVID-19 vaccine doses for the entire region, or the pandemic will continue to devastate lives and economies in the region for another 2 years. Justice Ram, the former Director of Economics at the Caribbean Development Bank, and Kiran Matur Mohammed, the co-founder of Medal, an IDB lab-backed social impact health tech company, contended that this is the only way out of the current cycle of lockdowns and fear in the Caribbean region. The two noted that while it is good that the governments have accessed vaccines through the World Health Organization-led COVAX facility, and individual countries have started bilateral discussions with vaccine providers already approved by the WHO, getting those doses will take far too long. The two officials suggested that regional countries with a total annual GDP of about $91.5 billion could afford to buy the vaccines for themselves. They estimated that with 18.5 million people in the Caribbean community, in order to achieve herd immunity, enough vaccines must be purchased for 90% of the population. Well, Russia has offered to supply the Jamaican government with a Sputnik V vaccine amid a record upsurge in coronavirus infections. But the government in Jamaica has reasserted that it will only proceed with vaccines approved by global health authorities. The offer is one of several options on the table as Jamaica prepares to tap up to 250,000 vaccines under the COVAX facility in a rollout scheduled to begin late this month. The Jamaican government was heartened by news on Thursday that the World Health Organization has given its approval for the deployment of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine to all ages. Several European nations, including Germany, France, and Poland, had advised that they would not give the green light for the vaccination of persons 65 years and older with AstraZeneca because of a lack of data about its efficacy and impact during trials. But the World Health Organization Strategic Advisory Group of experts said the vaccine should be dispensed in 2 doses, 8 to 12 weeks apart. And finally tonight, international news. US President Joe Biden has warned that China will eat America's lunch if America does not step up its infrastructure spending. The US President was speaking on Thursday with a group of senators about the need to upgrade infrastructure in the US. His warning comes the day after his first phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. On the call, the Chinese president took a hard line on human rights, saying a confrontation would be a disaster for both countries. But the US President Joe Biden made comments after meeting with members of the Environmental and Public Works Committee. During the campaign, Mr. Biden proposed spending $2 trillion over the 4 years of his term to create jobs and invest in clean energy infrastructure. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.